And happy Tuesday, everyone. We're here with the second conversation of the day, and we are here with Kalee. Now, I tried pronouncing the last name before we started, and I can't do it. But I did try. I was close, though. I will say I was close.
Very, yes.
So, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
And let's talk about your book that's being launched today. Let's talk about that. What got you into writing that book?
Yeah, absolutely. So launch day is today. The book's called Make Money Your Thing. And I wrote the book. I think I always knew I wanted to write a book. That's like the first step. It's like the seed is planted early on. But I had been in the financial industry for about 15 years. And that's, kind of the experiences I had and whatnot is what actually brought me to writing this particular book. So a little bit about my background is I was raised by a single mom, and money showed up in my childhood as a source of like stress and struggle. It was the conversation was like, we didn't never have enough money and things like that. So it was I was very intrigued early on because I saw that wasn't the same for everyone. Like my friends, they could get the toys that maybe my mom said we couldn't afford and things like that. So from a very early age, I was like a student of all things money. And that helped me kind of progress through my education experience. And in university, I took a liking to all, finance related courses and whatnot too. And so I started in the financial industry, having that very strong interest in money and numbers and whatnot. But what I saw in this industry when I first started time and again was that it was still a very male dominated space, and there wasn't as many women as I would have liked to see. So it's almost like they didn't feel like comfortable, or it wasn't, I don't know. It wasn't as welcoming because it was so male dominated. What happens is, it tends to be more marketed to males, and it creates this almost space that seems like it's more like this, old boys club, unfortunately. And I just felt like women didn't have a place where they could really feel comfortable and like they belong. And so I knew that was it. That was the idea then for this book and what I wanted to write about. I wanted to write a book to help empower women with their finances, because what I saw was missing was just maybe a little bit of a confidence boost. And then they were right there as well. There's no difference that I see between what men know about money and finances and women. It just seems like men are sometimes more willing to dive in maybe, and women have this sort of the case of the imposter syndrome, or whatever you want to call it, unfortunately. And they're less inclined to do the things, to take the action. So I think, or, I hope I found the key of what it is. It's just that they need that little confidence boost. So instead of saying things like, money isn't my thing, I'm not good with numbers, I'm not good at math, well, let's make money your thing. And that's what this book I've created is for. So women can feel like, hey, I belong here. I can feel empowered in my money decisions. And that's, I guess, my story from, where I was and what helped inspire me to write this book. And I'm really excited. Again, launch day is today. And I really am excited to hear what women think and say about this, because I do believe this can change women's relationship with money.
Now, a couple of questions with all that. Now, you said that it gave you the idea of writing back then. With writing, what really inspired you? Was it what the trouble that you went through, or was it just future aspects?
Yeah, I think it was both, like, based on my own experience and then the journey of, like, where I had gotten to. The idea of, like, the cycle of poverty, it doesn't have to be this self-fulfilling cycle, like, that you can decide to change things. And knowing that I was able to do it in my own life, I was like, "Wow, I wanna share this with more people." And it felt like writing was such a good outlet for me because, again, I'm like a bookworm at heart, like, I love books. And, I am the quiet introvert that, it's this is like such a nice means of sharing these stories and getting this out there for us quiet people that that maybe don't want to be, maybe aren't ready yet to be presenting on stages full of thousands and thousands of people. I'd love to do that. But now that I have the book, but I think it was like in writing, it's almost like it's so powerful in the sense of like you find your voice and you really, it's like you're learning and going on the journey yourself. It's a very interesting process. So for anyone out there that's saying that they have this book in mind or they want to write this book, I highly suggest you write it because of how much you learn about yourself and what you find and uncover about yourself. And again, for me, it was finding my voice where my writing became really what I want to talk about and share and spread now as like more information for women and to inspire women. So yeah, I think it was based on my early experiences, that and a combination of what I've seen in the industry and that lack of focus on women.
Now, the other thing that you mentioned was it's a male dominant, and definitely because it's been going on forever. But what kind of struggles have you had with that process?
That's a great question. Yeah. And I share some of this in my book, but in my like journey in this career path, I had a lot of pushback. Like I had years of experience when I wanted to go out on my own and start my own like wealth advisory business, knowing that I really wanted to focus on women. And that wasn't happening when with the teams essentially I was working on. And they were, male led teams. So by all means, that probably makes sense. And so going on my own, I was like, okay, now I can do the things. Now I can kind of create the plan I had in mind. But I got a lot of pushback where none of the investment firms wanted to hire me as a new advisor, thinking like that I didn't have what it takes yet and things like that. And I'm like, it's crazy. And saying things like when they saw my marketing plan, focusing on women, saying things like, is there really a market for that? And I'm like, this was like 8 years ago. Like my mind is blown to think that people were saying things like that. Like, of course there's a market for women to talk about money, to get engaged, to, want to take action. Yes, absolutely. There's a market. There's so many single independent women. There's women that are in relationships, but are still engaged, part of the conversation. Like there's so many scenarios there that of course there is a market for this. I am a single independent woman myself. And so, yeah, like, speaking from my own experience, yes. So, feeling that it was very disheartening and there was a lot of pushback and I had to go back to like my why and again thinking back to like my mom and what she went through and I'm like, hey, I'm still pushing forward. I have to do this. I'm meant to do this. And almost like the more pushback I got, the more I wanted to do it or knew that this was important because if someone's kind of like saying those things, it does like pique your interest and you're like, we need it now more than ever. If those are the words coming out of people's mouths, like, is there a market for this? Then yes, we need to, I need to do this. I need to push ahead. So that really actually helped in a way. So, all the pushback and then the negativity I was receiving was like very much like what propelled me forward to say like, I need to do this now more than ever.
Now, here's another question to add with that. Would you say that your mother would be your biggest inspiration, or because I know the struggle with fights and negativity, would you say the struggles with the negativity and being pushed was a stronger inspiration? Which one would you say inspired you the most?
That's a good question. I feel like both. And I think like, well, I can like credit my mom for teaching me to be this like, strong, independent, like you keep going. Cause yes, we struggled financially, but what I witnessed was my mom would work whatever, like she would do whatever it took. There was times where she was working 5 jobs and she just kept going, and there was never like a sick day or anything. So I just learned.
Uh-oh. I don't know if that was me or her. One of us froze up.
Oh, I'm back.
Okay.
Sorry. So seeing my mom's, like, all the work she did and how hard she worked, it kind of taught me that lesson of like we can do hard things. And so nothing ever felt like too difficult or hard, because I always, again, seeing how she was able to do that. So I would say it's like a both, but she was kind of the person who, gave me that strength where I wouldn't let that pushback be what stopped me.
Very nice. And where can people find your book that's being launched today? Yay.
Yay. So all the kind of online channels are probably the easiest way. So like Amazon and things like that. Just, I know we're in a very digital world and it's easy to access things online. So online through like Barnes and Noble here in Canada, like Chapters Indigo online, and Amazon, and then in stores as well. So it's starting to be in like select stores as well. And the more interest people show, the more stores it's going to be in. So definitely, if you're intrigued and want to make money your thing, do so. Find wherever you can buy the book in your local area, and that helps for getting more awareness out there and more bookstores stocking my book.
Now, where can people find you at if they want to follow you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram. It's just my first name, last name. So Kalee Boisvert. I think it's showing up on the screen there. So that's the spelling. And then my website is just kaleeboisvert.com. So definitely, yeah, follow me on socials, reach out. I love to hear any questions anyone has that is money related, finance related, any like big wins that, are inspiring that I could share with others. I would love to hear about, and any questions you have after reading the book or any feedback. I would love to know what people think of the book. I'm so excited to hear what people think of the book.
Now, with all that being said about the book coming out today, you have another one coming out in September.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about that one.
Yes.
And
so
if
the
I'm
book
correct,
is called.
I
Oh,
was
go
going to
ahead.
say it's a children's book, or young adult or children's.
Children's. It's a children's
Okay.
picture book. Yes.
Okay.
It's called Money-Wise Mabel's Bursting Bank. And it is a children's picture book. So it's great for ages, I would say, like 4 to 7. And what the book is, it's following like a little girl on her journey as she fills up her piggy bank. And then she's kind of wondering, well, what to do with it, thinking about that instant gratification of like buy candies, go to the store and buy essentially like useless things, or what else could she do with her money. And she talks to her mom, and her mom talks about how she has a bank account, and then Mabel wants to open her own bank account and thinks about all like the bigger things and goals she can save up for. And so that's the journey of the book, and it's really to inspire young people. Again, growing up as someone who I grew up, in poverty, or we didn't have enough. I think it's so powerful just because children, they're still at this very, open stage of like looking at everything for the possibilities. And can we like have the money conversations with kids from a place of possibility where they don't decide that their future is already determined, that they know that, it's up to them and they can have big goals and they can go after them. So that's why I wrote Money-Wise Mabel, is to really help with that conversation with children, and to get our kids like thinking big, and again, to like really start them on a path of like, how early can we be teaching and talking about money and financial literacy? I think really, really early on. So let's do it. And I hope this book kind of gives parents the like opening, conversation piece for where they can start.
That's pretty cool right there.
Yeah.
Now, again, that book comes out in September.
Yes.
Your other one came out today.
Yes.
But I have a funny feeling that we're probably going to start seeing you on, what is it, TED Talks?
So, now that I'm ready.
Well, I think you can inspire a lot of different people.
I hope so. Yeah. But again, it was reading that helped me find my voice. Like me, before these books, I would be like, you'd say TED Talk, and I'd be like, like scared, run for the hills. But when you do it and you find like the thing, what you really want to say, like reading just like kind of brings it out of you. I love it. Like it's such a good experience. I encourage everyone, just go write a book.
See, you're getting there for sure. And definitely, like I said, look forward to speaking with you again. But I do want to thank you for being on our show.
Thank you so much.
And I do want to let people know, go check out our books. You can check it out on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and you said that they're going to be on certain bookstores.
Yes.
And it is launched today. And the children's book, for those who are interested, comes out in September of this year.
Yeah.
So,
But that's available on Amazon for pre-order now as well.
writing I have done, finished, no. Now, see, you need to finish.
Yes, that also, when I heard that stat, the biggest reason why people don't like have the book or it's because they don't finish it. So know that, like, that's just all you have to do. You just have to finish it. When you look at it that way, you're like, okay, I just have to finish it.
Regardless of how long it is.
Just finish it.
Just finish it, and then you can break it down into different stories.
Yes.
But again, I do want to thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
And look forward to hearing from you and talking to you again in the near future.
Thank you so much for having me.
Possibly in September when the children's book comes out.
Yes.
But again, everyone, our show is going to be tomorrow night at 6:30 instead of Thursday. So we look forward to having that show. And then, of course, we'll have the next two shows on Tuesday. But until then, everyone,